Hi, Prince, UK Self-Defense Green, time to sharpen the blades. Okay, today we're going to be looking at knife attacks because there's a lot of bullshit out there that instructors are giving to their students. So I'm just going to debunk a few myths because school children are carrying knives now and a lot of our youths are carrying knives, and statistically knife crime, there's 1,000 a month in London and somewhere up there, so it's a dangerous thing. Okay, now I've designed Mr. Muck John today, the wooden dummy. So we've got an incoming low shot, we've got a midline shot, and we've got an overhead shot from the stab. Majority of times, it's normally in this area. Okay, so that's what that represents. Less statistically, it's from this kind of angle, and I think it's between 13 to 15% actually goes towards the head or the upper neck. But if your instructor's got you doing this type of dueling movement, okay, it is not a duel. It is an ambush. So even practicing like this is false from word go, okay? In 71% of attacks, what happens is the perpetrator of that crime is going to lead what they call the paralysed hand. So they want to latch onto you and they want to come in and stab you normally in that direction, okay? It's a pepper shot, it could come slightly different, but majority of times it comes in that kind of movement, okay? Now, what we must consider is that shot that somebody stabs me with comes in around 7 seconds, 5 shots. So they're going to hit me, unplug, retract 5 times in about 7 seconds. That's not very good at all. That's bad. Now, the average attack lasted between 14 to 23 seconds. On average, 23 seconds. So you can see we've got nanoseconds to actually milliseconds to deal or to react to this kind of situation. Now, what somebody does when they're trying to attack you is quite simple. They use premeditated intention. That means they've got the intention and they have premeditated, they've planned that attack before they come to you. A lot of attacks are random, but a lot of attacks are not. If you're one of those persons that is involved in a premeditated attack, what they're going to do is they're going to come and use a distraction technique. So they want to distract you, they want to isolate you or corner you, and then they launch the attack. Okay? So remember that. They won't have the weapon like this in their hand, they will have it tucked away somewhere where they can get at it very quickly. We study a lot of video footage of attacks around the world, and there's only one that I've seen of a lady in Lebanon, I think is somewhere in Israel, where she walks up to the guard and she takes a knife out of her handbag like this, and then she moves forward to stab in that position. Because the vast majority are not in that, that's for the movies. Vast majority are covert, short, sharp. It's called the sewing machine or the prison yard rush. Now, in 55% of attacks, the prison yard rush is the preferred method. So they rush at you, and they actually stab you in that kind of motion. So, if we look at the law around this, okay, the psychology of fighting, we look at Guthrie's law, where we know we've got to have maximum certainty of goal. So we've got to have maximum certainty that we can do a technique to either stop or debilitate the person. Minimum movement, so we want it to shortest A to B, a minimal energy expenditure. We don't want to be going into that situation where we're like, because our skills won't work. We're in the area where we've got visual, tunnel vision, we've got auditory withdrawal, we can't hear nothing, we could be void in our bowels, the heart rate's going, we can only do a gross motor skill, so we're no good for anything. We have to keep our composure. That is why we train with knives, so as we get a feel for it, but out in reality, if all the techniques that they teach in martial arts work, then you wouldn't get a lot of guys being stabbed. But they obviously don't, because people are getting stabbed. So it doesn't matter if you're the 10th, 20th, millionth Dan, you're still going to get the knife shoved up your backside. So this is what we're trying to look at now. Okay, so looking at certain techniques. If Hicks' law states that the first projectile that comes in, bam, if I react to that, bam, all well and good. But if I've got two techniques that I've got to pick between, so it goes jab and the cross, and I've got two techniques I've got to pick between to do, I'm going to be 58% slower. If I've got 4 techniques that I've been taught to do, against that coming in projectile, and we're talking about a stab here, okay, right? But I'm showing you by boxing terms, so jab, cross, uppercut, hook. If I've got 4 different techniques, I'm going to be some 263% slower. We know this from science. You can't argue with this fact, so whatever your instructor's telling you, it's a load of bollocks, because at the end of the day, those are the scientific mathematics on this. So, looking at techniques to do, we know now, if we give you a multiple technique to do in a specific attack from a knife, then it's got a high probability of failing. So we can improve our chances by taking away the high probability of failure. And how do we do that? We do that by reducing the technique that we have to do. So, in Krav Maga, the same as in karate, you have the knife edge, shuto, right, knife edge. Or you have the gan strikes, the gan saos in Wing Chun or in Kung Fu. And in Krav Maga, you have a thing called the 360. I particularly like these because they fall into the parameters of Hicks and Guthrie's law. They're single kind of techniques. They're fast. They're for action against reaction. Okay. So say if I'm here now and somebody's going to take a shot at me. Okay. Now, unlike some of the videos from the Eastern European doormen, say for instance, who they've ejected a guy from the club and they're stood there with the hands in the pocket, the guy comes back, he's pissed off, he wants his bit of pussy, he wants his cocaine, he's been thrown out the club on a Saturday night. The doorman has stood there like this, yeah, well, this is getting, and the guy launches an attack. I mean, we know fundamentally they're wrong before they even start. Now, we've got to look at proxemics as well. Now, you've got here, this is your intimate space. Intimate space is where you kiss your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you hold your child, you do something intimately, about that kind of distance, right? Then you've got your personal space, which is the arm's length, that kind of parameter range. That's your personal space. Then after that, you've got your social space. Then you've got your public space. So if I'm in any such situation, and I know there's a possibility of some young guy coming up to me, he's going to confront me, I've got to think to myself, has he got a weapon? There's a very high probability that he has. So automatically, I'm on guard. Doesn't matter if he's a young guy, if he's an old, if somebody comes up to you, you've got to think there's a high probability they're armed. So that's already got me some kind of awareness, okay, right? As I walk into my certain zones, so my personal to my intimate zone, I'm ready. I don't want none of this, some guy walking up to me and sticking his head in me or gesticulating like they do. No. We have to avoid all that. So we have to know that we need to have our arms, as we teach, do you kind of, in this kind of position. A lot of systems say you want to have your arms that way so you don't get stabbed, okay, right? The course, like it says, you actually gesticulate. So we're going to try and go, whoa. But if you show your hands like that, it looks like to a camera that you're getting ready to hit somebody. So we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But this is the best that we've got. Now we know that people normally grab you with his hand and they stab you with the hand is their right hand. So if they're left-handed, they do it the opposite around. So say if I'm here now, hypothetically, we in self-defense look at gross motor skills from science, something we've all got, so that we can react with very, very quickly. So something comes in, as we've explained, the flinch response, we're going like this. So, if I was to take the 360 from Krav Maga, boom, 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 that's the 360. If I was to take the Gan Sao from Kung Fu or Wing Chun, so if I'm working on this and I go this way and I go to this block, I'm practicing the Gan Sao, that's a block, okay, right? In karate, we have this block here, which I teach as a skill. I teach like this, because a lot of systems from Panatukan will have you strip the blade. So say if the blade comes in at you, they want you to go in that way and then strip the blade out. So as the blade comes in, you go in and you strip the blade out. Other systems where you'll go in and then you'll take the arm back, all these, so you'll come in here and you'll take the arm around the back and we don't want to be going there, because science, psychology and fight science shows us, and statistics, that you're going to put yourself at greater risk. Milliseconds. If you add something on, that's a few milliseconds. And that few milliseconds could be the difference between that blade from there, a couple of milliseconds, bringing it closer and piercing 3 to 8 inches into your centimetres, inches, well, it's dangerous. So, what I like is just the basic skill set. Practice all your nice flary moves, great, but spend the vast majority of your time practicing with somebody who's coming at you with a knife from the back, okay, right? And your response is a one response. So we follow all the laws. So say hypothetically somebody's coming at me, okay, right? It's okay saying, well, you're going with the old karate, this kind of hand, or the gansei, or the knife edge, but at the end of the day, this is a higher probability of working than anything that you're teaching in your club. So if I'm here from a gross motor skill, okay, all I'm doing is using that. So, I'm there. I'm going, so I'm going bam, like that, okay, right? If I'm here and I've got an inkling and I whoa, and I'm kind of covering myself a little bit, but I'm please, dude, step back. You know what I mean? But at least if I was here, I could just you know what I mean? I've got a shot that I could do. You know what I mean? At least I can get a shot in, right? Say if I'm here and I've got a shot that comes in, I kind of step back. You know what I mean? It comes in, I see it coming, whoa, you know what I mean? I get myself in. I could shoot like this, I could hit like this, right? These are gross motor skills. If you spend your time in your class practicing a gross motor skill to intercept a projectile, you're going to increase your chances of survival by a few milliseconds. It could be 10 milliseconds. It could be 15 milliseconds. Because we know in the vast majority of strikes, they're going to go in and retract. If you blocked in the first time, by the time he's retracting, you may have chance to move in with a second shot. You may have chance. You may not. You may have chance to disengage and to get yourself away. But the whole point of today is you've got to start bringing realism into the classroom. I was at a club and we were doing a thing called Palace-Suit. We spent 2 minutes on it. I wanted so much knife work, but we spent 2 minutes on it and then we go on to doing something else. And I thought to me, this isn't cutting the mustard for me. This is not reality. I need something that's more realistic. Stuff like Krav Maga, Systema, they all have their knife portions that they deal with. But the fact of the matter is, you'd be better off spending your time getting really good at hitting me. So if I take a jab at you, you can bang one shot and hit me so hard into the extensors or into the carpal bones, or get me a real good shot and I'm holding something. You've got a higher probability of surviving to give yourself a few milliseconds to escape than you have by going in and then trying to do a load more technique afterwards. Because that, by the law of science and pathology, is going to fail. It's simple as that. It's doomed to fail. I mean, if you're not very fit, if you're like an average guy, if you're untrained, all you've got is your flinch response or the option of disengaging. Anyway, I'm hooking up with a guy called Chris Boot. He's another self-defense instructor. We're working on a program at the moment that we're going to be bringing to market. We've got a lot of interest in it. It's a combination of self-defense, cutting edge type of stuff. We've looked at a few different scenarios and we're moving into the next level. So I hope you kind of enjoy this presentation. If you like the tips that I'm giving you, please subscribe and give me a like button. Look after yourselves. Yeah.